Alright, fellow hunters, it's time to take a look at the final episode of the day, which is Frontierland. On Sam's hunch, he, Dean, and Bobby find the Campbell family's library hidden under Samuel Colt's study. They research Samuel's books for to defeat Eve, and Bobby eventually finds mention of a mother that can be burned by phoenix ashes. Never having heard of a real phoenix, they continue to search until Dean finds Samuel Colt's journal. There is an entry under March 5th, 1861, in which Samuel mentions shooting a phoenix in Sunrise, Wyoming, leaving a pile of smoldering ash. Dean is convinced that they need to go back in time to 1861 and gather the ashes so that they can defeat Eve. Dean prays to Castiel, but another angel shows up instead. She introduces herself as Rachel, Castiel's lieutenant, and she shows disdain for Sam and Dean. After a few moments, Castiel appears and dismisses her. They explain the plan to Castiel, and he agrees to send Dean and Sam back to March 4th, 1861. It can only allow them 24 hours, though, or they will be trapped in the past. Once they appear in Sunrise, Wyoming, Sam sets the timer's watch for 24 hours. They walk into town and see a man, Elias Finch, about to be hanged in the town square. A judge reads him a sentence. Apparently, Elias killed his wife, and then he is put to death. Sam and Dean are disturbed, but they follow the town sheriff as he leaves the square and heads to prison. There, they pose as law enforcement officers and question him about Samuel Colt, but he hasn't heard of him. He sends him to the saloon to question the owner, Mr. Elkins, who is an old man who apparently knows everything. At the saloon, Dean starts to see the life of the Old West is less romantic than he thought. It's dirty, the whiskey's terrible, and the saloon women are less than healthy. Mr. Elkins tells them that Samuel passed through town about 4 years ago, but he hasn't been back since. Rumors are that he's building a railroad stop about 20 miles away in the middle of nowhere. And Sam Dean surmises he's currently working on the giant devil's trap that surrounds the Devil's Gate in southern Wyoming. As they're talking, a prostitute named Darrell approaches and tries to seduce Dean, but the judge who read Alia's sentence, Time Mortimer, shows up and takes her upstairs. Moments later, they hear her scream, and they rush up to find George Mortimer burned to ashes. Darrell swears that it was Eliza's ghost that killed him. The sheriff disputes that, pointing out that ghosts only leave muddied footprints on the floor. Thinking that they botched Eliza's hanging, the sheriff declares his intent to rally a posse and string him up right this time. That night, after finding Elias's grave empty, Sam and Dean discuss the possibility that the phoenix isn't a bird at all, but the man, Elias, who wants revenge on the 3 men that killed him, George Mortimer, the sheriff, and the sheriff's deputy. They decide to split up. Dean stayed behind to join the sheriff's posse and hunt down Elias, and Sam is going to find Samuel. Meanwhile, in the present time, Rachel converses Castiel about what he's been doing in order to beat Raphael. According to her, it's unacceptable what Castiel has become, and she pulls out an angel blade. She manages to pierce his flesh but not kill him, and as he pulls out his own angel blade and defeats her. Wounded, he travels to Bobby's house, puts an angel banishing sigil on the ball with its blood, and collapses. In town the next morning, Dean shows up at the saloon, ready to form up a posse and go after Elias. Nobody shows up to join him, however, and soon the body of the sheriff is found. The burned body of the sheriff is found. Mr. Elkins takes a star from the sheriff's body, pins it on Dean, congratulating him on his new position. After his promotion, Dean goes to find the deputy. The man is packing his suitcase, returns to escape Eliza's ghost. But Dean tells him that he won't be able to run forever and that he needs to play his part as bait. Meanwhile, Sam finds Samuel's cabin. Samuel has just used the cold to kill 2 demons and want him to open the Devil's Gate, and he immediately splashes water on Sam to make sure that he's a demon as well. Sam tells him he's a hunter from the year 2011 and that he needs Samuel's help. Sam is skeptical. Sam hands him a copy of his cell phone and BlackBerry. Samuel's immediately convinced. Sam tells him that according to the copy of Samuel's journal he's carrying, Samuel kills the phoenix in 3 hours, and Sam needs to get the ashes As soon as the ashes kill a monster he's hunting. Sam tells him that he's no longer hunting and that he had lost the gun gambling, but Sam knows that he's lying and confronts him. Sam eventually admits to having the gun, but tells him that no matter what his journal says, he's not going to be killing a phoenix. Sam realizes that he's going to have to kill the phoenix himself and demands the gun. Sam eventually admits to having the gun, but tells him that what Cheryl says he's not going to be killing a phoenix. Sam realizes that he's going to kill the phoenix himself and demands the gun. In the present time, Cassio tells Bobby the truth. Given an injury, he won't be able to retrieve Sam and Dean from the past. The way he can have power to save them is to touch Bobby's soul. The risk is that he might cause Bobby to explode. Back in 1861, Dean locks the deputy in his cell, and when Elias shows up, he demands that Dean open the cell. Dean refuses and then tosses an iron nail at him. When Elias reflexively catches it, his hand burns, and Dean confronts him with the truth, as a monster. Elias is vulnerable to iron, which is why he couldn't escape his iron shackles before he was hung, and why he now can't open the cell that the deputy is in. Elias realizes that Dean is a hunter, and so attempt to win him over, tells him why he's put to death. Elias realizes Dean's a hunter, and so, in attempt to win him over, tells him why he was put to death. Although a phoenix, Elias was married to a human woman that he loved. On a visit to town, she was assaulted by the deputy, and when Elias came across them, the deputy both shot him and his wife. Elias's wife died in his arms, but Elias wasn't able to die, so the deputy sheriff and judge Mortimer pinned the wife's murder on him and tried to put him to death. Elias states that seeing the trapped and scared deputy behind bars pleases him, and that he saved the best for his belt. On a visit to town, she was assaulted by the deputy, and when Elias came across him, the deputy shot both him and his wife. Elias's wife died in his arms, but Elias was able to do so. The deputy sheriff and Judge Mortimer pinned his wife's murder on him and tried to put him to death. Elias says that seeing the trapped and scared deputy behind bars pleases him, and they saved the best for last. Motivated by the story, Dean questions the deputy if it's true, which the latter nervously confirms with a shrug. Dean insults the deputy, but is still resolved to kill Elias. So Elias grabs a gun from a nearby holster and shoots the deputy through his cell bars. Elias says that seeing the trapped and scared deputy behind bars pleases him, save the best for last. Moved by the story, Dean questions the deputy if it's true, which I nervously confirms with a shrug. Dean insults the deputy, but is still resolved to kill Elias, so Elias grabs a gun from a nearby holster and shoots the deputy through his cell bars. Dean jumps out of a window to escape Elias's gunfire, and is on the run when Sam appears with a Colt in hand. In the future, Bobby puts a belt between his teeth and Cassiel prepares to touch his soul. Sam gives the Colt to Dean, who goes into town square and calls for Elias. It's a duel at high noon, and both the men stay ready before drawing their weapons, lightning fast. Elias misses, but Dean hits him with a bullet from the Colt, killing him. They're almost at the 24-hour mark, and Sam reminds him and rushes forward to try and get Elias's ashes, but suddenly Castiel pulls him back to the future. Back at Bobby's house, Dean stares at the empty bottle in his hand, stunned. Bobby and Castiel are still recovering when the doorbell rings. Sam Sam answers it to find a young man from a courier service. He has a package for Sam Winchester. The young man is curious about the package because it's been around forever and was supposed to be delivered to Sam at this house specifically on this date. But Sam hears that the package is from Samuel Colt. He takes to close the door in the courier's face without signing for it. Sam hears the package is from Samuel Colt. He takes it and closes the door in the courier's face without signing for it. Back at Bobby's study, he opens the package while Dean, Castiel, and Bobby are gone. First, he finds his cell phone. The BlackBerry is dirty and cracked. And second, he finds something from Samuel Colt in it. He tells Sam that he found Sam's address and the current date from his thingamajig, and that he thinks Sam will find the enclosed useful. Sam takes the packaging, pulls out a glass bottle full of ashes. Sam will gather the phoenix ashes and deliver them to Sam from 150 years in the past. Nice. So let's take a look at some continuities from surrounding this episode. This is the fourth time travel episode of the series, the previous being Season 4's in the beginning, Season 5's The Song Remains the Same, and Season 6's My Heart Will Go On. This episode was specifically entitled Gallows Pole before being officially named Frontierland. The episode was entitled Gallows Pole before being officially named Frontierland. Gallows Pole is an old folk song whose most famous version is by the English rock band Led Zeppelin, one of Dean's favorites. Gallows Pole is the name of a now disbanded German power metal band and an Austrian 70s hard rock band. Jerry Padalecki and Justin Eccles repeatedly said at conventions that they always wanted to do a Western. Jerry Padalecki and Justin Eccles repeatedly at conventions that they always wanted to do a Western. The time travel in this episode is paradoxical, with Sam and Dean being the cause of the future that brought them to the past. Even if Samuel Colt took credit for it, he was still the one who killed the Phoenix. The exact phrasing in the diary said the gun killed the Phoenix, though stating who wielded the gun. Sam and Dean simply assumed it had been Samuel Colt who fired the shot. Samuel Colt had been... The exact phrasing in the diary is that the gun killed the Phoenix, so saying who wielded this weapon. Sam and Dean simply assumed it had been Samuel Colt who fired the first shot. Samuel Colt told Sam that he wasn't ready to use the Colt yet, when in fact, the fact is that Sam still used it several times already, albeit in respect to his own personality rather than the actual chronological timeline. Samuel Colt told Sam he wasn't ready to use the Colt yet, when the fact is that Sam had used it several times already, albeit in respect to his own personal timeline, rather than the actual chronological timeline. At the saloon, Sam and Dean asked the owner, Mr. Elkins, about the whereabouts of Samuel Colt. Later on, the Colt would end up with Daniel Elkins, the remarkable vampires killing for it, only to be killed by the Winchesters. While Liberty's has been mentioned in some other episodes, this is the first time it's seen on screen. The sex worker positioning the brothers in the saloon has prominent cold sores on the mouth, which are a symptom of herpes. Ooh, boy, that's not good. So finally, let's take a look at some cultural references here. Many parts of this episode reference the film Back to the Future Part 3 from 1990. Sam's story about the clothing that Dean Broad being inspired by Clint Eastwood movies, Lampshades Marty's worried that the clothes the dogs give him are not similar to those seen in Clint Eastwood movies. Dean songs were clothing choices, like Marty's in the film. Dean uses Clint Eastwood as an alias, as Marty McFly did. The final scene in the episode mirrors the ending of Back to the Future Part 2. Bobby says that he and Castiel can't leave Sam and Dean in Deadwood. Deadwood was a Western TV series that Jim Beaver acted in before Supernatural. The opening title card for this episode resembles that of the opening title card of the Western TV series Bonanza. When Dean, newly appointed as town sheriff, arrives at the sheriff deputy's cabin, Dean greets the deputy with "Kindergarten for Mongo." This is a quote from the Western film Blazing Saddles, said by the sheriff. Dean gives Sam the cover named Walker. This is a reference to fellow character Cordell Walker in the TV series Walker, Texas Ranger. Many of the stars who appear in Supernatural have made guest appearances of Walker. Jeffrey Dean Morgan also guest starred on that series as Jake Corbard in the final season's episode Child of Hope. Steve Railsback, who played Joseph Fulton's episode, previously played Jeremy Stark in the third season on the Guardians. Sam Hennings, who played Samuel Fulton's episode. Jeffrey D. Morgan also guest starred in the series as Jake Corbard in the final season's episode Child of Hope. Steve Railsback, who played Joseph Fulton in the pilot episode, played Charlie Stark in the third season episode of the Guardians, Sam Hennings. Season's episode Child of Hope, Steve Railsback, played Joseph Fulton pilot episode, played Charlie Stark in the third season episode of the Guardians. Sam Hennings, who played Samuel Colt in this episode, played T.J. Brody in the seventh season premiere in Harm's Way. By two coincidentally, Jared Padalecki, Tim's actor, was actually announced to play Cordell in the series 3. Coincidentally, Jared Padalecki was later announced to play Cordell Walker in the series CW reboot Walker, which aired in January 2021. Dean begins to say, "Yippee-ki-yay, mother." This is an iconic quote from the film Die Hard, said by Bruce Willis's character. So I think this episode is pretty interesting, and hey, I do love a good time travel episode, so yeah. So overall, I give Frontierland. So overall, I give Frontierland. I give it 4 Impalas out of 5. But anyway, tune in tomorrow as we take the next episode, Mommy Dearest. So, until then, carry on, my wayward sons and daughters.